I want to talk about a program the EPA came out with called the SNAP program. It stands for Significant New Alternatives Policy. And the cool thing about the website that I'm going to put a link to down in the description of this video is it gets updated from time to time. And I wonder, as these new refrigerants start to get rolled out in our industry, as 410A gets phased out and we start to see more and more refrigerants get used in our market that have never been used before, if we might see this website get updated a little more frequently than current. But the program was established under Section 612 of the Clean Air Act to identify and evaluate substitutes for ozone depleting substances. So essentially the website's saying, hey, if this is what you used to use, here's some approved or more friendly substances that you can use that will still do the same thing or sometimes be a good alternative, or depending on your situation, you don't want to just say, oh, well, it's part of the program. I'm not saying because it's approved, you could just throw it at any old product that had some other refrigerant or something. The interesting thing about a lot of these refrigerants that are harmful to the environment, maybe some of the older ones were harmful to the ozone. Some of them have high GWP ratings, global warming potential. In a lot of cases, they're not completely gone. There is a way to sometimes get your hands on some of these obsolete refrigerants, but price goes up as things become more scarce. I remember a guy calling me a few years ago telling me he had several jugs of R12. And I was like, whoa, got some liquid gold there. So anyway, as I said, I'm going to put a link to this down in the description of this video. It kind of lists, depending on what sector you're in, there's different industries, there's different products that have unacceptable chemicals that the EPA will then offer alternatives that are approved and so on. They break it down into each sector, and I do think that we may see updates to come. There has been an update to the website recently in the past year or two, and I think that that's common, that they do update it from time to time as new things come out, as they discover some chemist or engineer comes up with something, then they may be updating the website from time to time. It says the SNAP framework also considers the following, looks at overall risk to human health and the environment of both existing and new substitutes, publishes lists of acceptable and unacceptable substitutes by end use, promotes the use of acceptable substitutes, and provides the public with information about the potential environmental and human health impacts of substitutes. The other thing they do is, they may say this is approved, but they'll tell you what the ratings are and so on. So if it's got, say, A3 or B2 or whatever the rating of that refrigerant is, they'll classify it based on the toxicity, the flammability, and so on of that chemical. So just because it's approved doesn't mean it's safe, or just because it's approved doesn't mean it's not something you want to have your brother-in-law who just kind of does these sorts of things as a DIY or hobbyist. You want to have, in a lot of cases, somebody that really knows what they're doing, because it's not about money or anything like that. We're talking about safety here. So I would definitely look at the classification of the refrigerant. I would look at things like the ozone depletion potential, the global warming potential, toxicity, flammability, and other safety and health risks. Again, a lot of consumers like you, if you're a homeowner, you may not even care about any of this, but it gives you a resource. It gives you a way that if you do have a technician say, hey, I know you have an older system and we've got this substitute or drop-in refrigerant that we're able to now put in your system, you're able to get more information on that. This program allows you to go right to the website. I'll put a link to it down in the description of this video, and you'll be able to go right to that and get more information on that. A lot of times guys will use trade names, right? So call it New 22 or even the trade name Freon. That was originally a trade name. Folks throw it around commonly now as if it's an actual overall description of refrigerants and things like that, but it was a product. It was a brand name is what it was. So if you have a guy that throws around one of these trade names, you're able to get more information on that, see where it falls on all of this, and see is it an actual alternative approved chemical. And the last thing I'll say is they don't just have information on here for air conditioners or dehumidifiers and things like that. They've also got information on here for, it says foam blowing agents. So probably like the spray foam you have in your home, guys can insulate homes with. It's got cleaning solvents, fire suppression, so like fire extinguishers, aerosols, sterilants, tobacco expansion, and adhesive coatings and inks. Got a lot of information on there. I'd definitely check that out, especially if you are in one of those situations where you're trying to understand better. What are we doing here? You know, we're getting rid of refrigerants, we're getting other refrigerants and so on. This is a good resource for you to kind of see what this is all about. So check that out. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one even more. It's where I talk about the possibility of propane, flammable gas propane, being a future refrigerant. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.